Thank you for joining us. I'm here with Michelle Kaiser of the Omaha Bakery, located off 72nd, just south of Dodge. Michelle, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your business?
Well, I'm the owner of the Omaha Bakery here off of South 72nd Street, and we are a gourmet bakery and cafe, and we make everything here on site. We make homemade breads. We do peanut butter cinnamon rolls, regular cinnamon rolls daily. We make scones. We do coffees and lattes. We make wedding cakes, birthday cakes, everything made fresh to order. And we want to create an environment where people can come in and feel comfort and enjoy food that brings back memories that maybe that they would have gotten from their grandparents, their parents, aunts, whatever. Anybody that baked for them in their life, we want to bring that comfort food to them and bring those memories that make them feel good and warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And how long have you been in business with the Omaha Bakery?
The Omaha Bakery has been in business, it was a year, October the 1st, and then we just expanded and took the bay next to us and just opened that bay a couple weeks ago.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
First business that you've owned, or have you kind of had experience previously?
Lots of experience previously. Many years ago, I owned Michelle's Muffins and More in New York City, and I was a wholesale bakery and supplied espresso bars and cafes, and I did that for about 3 years. Moved back to Nebraska, dreamed of being a business owner all over again, and opened a Lot of Brownies Bakery. We started that business in Arlington and stayed there for 6 months and realized there wasn't enough foot traffic, and so moved our business to Fremont and was there 7 years as a Lot of Brownies Bakery, and closed that a year ago this past August to come here to the Omaha Bakery.
Wonderful. What was your drive to own your own business? What made you want to be your own boss at the end of the day?
Well, probably because I am very passionate about what I do. I love baking, and coming back from New York and working for other people, I found that it was easier for the bigger businesses to buy pre-made things and freeze them. And I learned to bake from my grandmothers, and we used fresh lemon juice and zest in our lemon bars. We didn't use bottled stuff, and we made everything like a certain style. And what I was finding is in the bigger industry, the bigger business that paid good money, that they weren't making things from scratch, fresh. They were freezing it, and it just was, the quality was gone. And so this really bothered me, and I was like, you know what, I don't want the drama of working for somebody else and dealing with all of that and having these products that didn't have the quality. I wanted quality. So I was like, I want to be a business owner, I'm going to do this. And I learned very quickly that there was a lot of challenges in being a business owner.
What's one of the bigger challenges that you feel like you've faced that you weren't really expecting at the time?
Well, I would say staffing is very difficult, because on the East Coast, there's always somebody behind you waiting for that job. There's always somebody out there looking for work that can probably do the job pretty adequately, and sometimes for less money. But in the Midwest, we don't have that market out there of employees that are just looking for work. It's quality employees are tough to find, and with our minimum wage increasing, that makes it even harder, because a great employee comes in wanting over minimum wage, and for a small business owner, that's not always an option for us to be able to afford.
How big is your staff currently?
Well, we have in front of the house we have 3, and we're expanding that. 2 are full-time, 1 is part-time, and then back of the house we have, oh goodness, probably 4 full-time and maybe 2 or 3 part-time. We're in the process of hiring more and trying to get more people on board.
Sure.
So
yeah, as you expand, it's kind of required. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So we've just recently hired a kitchen manager, a pie baker, a cake decorator, and a full-time barista. And we're getting ready to add another dishwasher, part-time dishwasher to the mix.
Okay. How do you approach the concept of finding the right people for the environment and culture that you're trying to cultivate here?
Pray.
Yeah.
I pray I get the right employee. Yeah. It's really difficult because they can interview really well and then, you know, they don't perform. It's definitely a challenge because when you are desperate and you need somebody, you hire whoever walks through the door, and then you find out that they're not the quality that you were looking for. So then they don't last because they don't make it, or they're not doing what you think that they should be doing. So being in a good position where you can pick and choose is probably the best advice that I have, is don't wait till you have none.
Yeah. How have you seen yourself grow as a manager over the last year that you've had the Omaha Bakery open? And then also, let's say, over your course of owning businesses, how have you seen yourself grow in your management technique?
Well, I've had to adapt, definitely because of minimum wage increase. Like, I feel like that's a huge one, because that you think, okay, well, if I've got to pay this person $12 an hour, what is my expectations of $12 an hour, and is it realistic? Because a business owner is always going to have higher expectations and is always going to usually work a lot harder, so they're going to think, well, if I'm paying somebody $12 an hour, I'm going to expect the moon. But that's not always possible from people, because they think that they're working for a smaller amount, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They think $12 an hour isn't much, but to us as a business owner, it's huge.
Sure.
So adapting to the mentality that our wages of what we think is a lot in the eyes of an employee, it's really not as much as, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that that's a big thing. Also, you know, turnover has been really difficult as a business owner, because there's always another job out there that pays more money and isn't as demanding. Our employees are expected to be able to cover any area. So if you're back of the house and you're doing cakes and it gets really busy, the chances are you might have to go to the sandwich table and make a lunch, or you may have to go up front and ring somebody in. You have to learn how to make a coffee drink. You learn everything, but then on the other side of it, the front of the house has to go to the back of the house and do prep work, whether it's making quiche goo or scooping cookies or frosting cookies or topping mini cheesecakes. They have to learn. So everybody learns the different jobs, but we have those that are the specialists in those areas that can take on the bigger percentage of that area.
Okay. That's great. Cross-training is very beneficial.
It is. Thank you.
How do you try to motivate your staff to make sure that they're able to do their best?
Finding what makes them happy. Like, what is their favorite thing to do in work and outside of work?
What type of advice would you give to a young entrepreneur, you know, just about to graduate college or high school, and they want to go out on their own and start their own venture? What kind of things would you tell them?
Well, I'm really honest about this. A lot of people think it's glamorous to own your own business. And the true reality is, to be a real business owner, it's not glamorous. You work every day. You give up a lot to be a business owner. So I'm very realistic, and when people come to me and they say, well, I want to open a business, what is it going to entail? I say to them, are you prepared to go without a paycheck for 5 to 7 years? And if the answer is no, do it out of your home. Don't go spend the money on rent and all that other stuff, because I'm telling you, it's real. for entrepreneurs and people that want to start their business, whoever, whatever it is, you've got to be prepared financially and physically and mentally to be able to work 5 to 7 years without a paycheck. And if you're not willing to do that, then owning your own business may not be the option. I've had to work 15, 16-hour days. I've worked months without a day off. Those are the real things behind being a business owner that people don't really talk about. You really have to be prepared to work harder than you've ever worked, because it's tough, and that's the real.
What drives you to get out of bed and go to work on those days when you're waking up and you're like, I don't know, really feel like it today?
Somebody's depending on me. Somebody's got an order. Somebody, I know that they're going to come looking for those lemon bars that take so long to make and that are time consuming, and the whole, just like, I know people are needing me and I can't disappoint them by not providing the things that I need to make for them. And it's just being committed. You got to be committed, because if you're not committed 100%, then it's not for you.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I talked to a business owner, Mika Solomon, who uses a percentage of his profits that go to the nonprofit Rejuvenating Women that help with sex trafficking, things like that.
Yes.
And he was a very big advocate and did a big spiel on the episode about how important it is for community action, getting involved with nonprofits. What is your stance in regards to that? Well,
I like to give back, and so I believe that it's really important to give back to the nonprofits, because first of all, it feels really good to help somebody else out. So that's really big for me. But on the other side of it, as much as you're talking and telling about a nonprofit, they're going to be out there talking and telling about you. So it's like you help them, they help you kind of thing, and it feels good to help somebody else out. So I believe that I have like about 8 nonprofits that I absolutely love, and Rejuvenating Women is one of them that I think the world of. But there's so many of them out there, so if you can connect with a nonprofit, whether it's 1 or 8 or whatever, if you can connect with them and work with a nonprofit, you're going to get more recognition from the media, right? Because they love those stories of how we help. And you're also going to get more exposure, because they're going to give their donors and their people exposure to your business. And B, you're going to feel good about helping, and it's a tax write-off. And we're also part of TAG. Are you familiar with TAG?
I'm not.
TAG is Together a Greater Good. So any nonprofit can sign up with TAG, and any individual can get the app on TAG, with TAG. And basically what it is you go into a business and you buy something. And if they're a TAG business owner, you could take a picture of your receipt on that app, and I give 10% of the sale back to the nonprofits that you choose. So you could go on, and Rejuvenating Women, I'm sure, is one of them on TAG, I would imagine, because they're pretty well known. Anyway, and if you bought something at the bakery, you would take a picture of that receipt, and then you could choose which nonprofit, and there's hundreds of nonprofits on there, and then you could pick Rejuvenating Women, and your sale, that percentage would go back to Rejuvenating Women. The best feeling is being able to give to somebody else.
Well, that's all the questions I have, so if you want to plug any more nonprofits, feel free to throw them out there. Let the viewers know. Yeah,
sure.
This is your chance.
Well, okay, so I absolutely love Chariots for Hope. They provide vehicles for folks that are less fortunate, that have struggled in life but have found faith, and they provide. You can donate an old vehicle to them, and they'll fix it up, and then they will gift it to somebody. I also love Restored Hope, that provides homes and living situations for abused women and children. And my other, I love Rejuvenating Women, Healing Embrace, Grief's Journey, and then the one that I'm real excited about is St. Paul's Music Conservatory. They're out of Council Bluffs, but they've also built 2 music conservatories here in Omaha, and I love them. They're teaching these children music and giving them another avenue that they can have something to do besides go out and see the bad stuff out there. So I think that all of these nonprofits are great, and any way that we can help them, I think, is a blessing for them.
I'll be sure to link a couple to the video. You can go check them out. But thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to go to our Facebook page, the Omaha Bakery, we would love to have them check us out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet.
Join me next week for a special episode of Small Business Sit Down, where I interview myself. I will be taking you on a little journey throughout how I operate my business, what drove me to start my business, and a little bit about my personal history. Tune in next week.